Hey everybody, thanks for joining again. My name is Caleb. I'm a Arkansas-based gaffer and key grip with a 2-ton grip and electric truck. Got a cool video today. We're talking about Condor rigging, specifically talking about putting a light on a Condor and everything that goes into that. But of course, we need to know how to do it safely and effectively. So we're going to talk a little bit about it, what goes into it, and the reason for wanting to do it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I thought I'd put up a few disclaimers here. The first one is I would not recommend attempting this without proper supervision from somebody who's done this before on a professional level. So if you've never done this before and you're just watching this video might be a good baseline of knowledge, but I still would not recommend just going out and doing this. And moving on to our second disclaimer, there are several different ways to do this, right? So there's a lot of different ways to do this. Different people from different regions are gonna have different ways to do this. What I'm showing you today is a common method, but there are a lot of different ways to do this. And each one of those different ways is going to have a specific benefit over, possibly some of the other ways. So the first thing I'd like to say is that this Condor is a small one. So this one was only about 40, I think it had a 45-foot boom. I'm gonna pause it here. And you can see the basket is actually fairly small as well. So normally with, let's say, like a 65, 85 or above foot Condor, the basket is gonna be maybe twice this big, maybe even a little bit bigger than that. This is really just a single operator style basket, which does limit you a little bit in where you can actually put the light. So you can see over here, this is the first way that we're gonna talk about putting a light on a Condor. This one is not my favorite, but it does work. So, and it's simply just finding a vertical post like this right here, or we could have done it on this side, and simply ratchet strapping around a stand and ratchet strapping that stand to the vertical post. So for a little background, we were not using my van or my kit for the most part for when we did this. So this combo stand was the DPs, and this van behind the Condor is the DPs as well. So he had a couple ratchet straps. He had I believe this is a Matthews digital combo stand, so it's a little bit thinner and lighter than like a traditional Matthews Hollywood combo stand. So we did that one night, and we were prepared to do the Condor work later that night at like 3 a.m. and shoot until like 6 a.m. until the sun came up. But they actually moved that back. And so I took that opportunity to go home that night, get some rest. And then I worked it out with production to bring a little bit of hardware that would make it a lot easier for us. And that's what we're gonna get to now. So this is this is method number one, I should say. And then I'm gonna pause it here. So on this picture, this is the more common way, I would say, especially for shoots around here in Arkansas. You see this a lot. So what this is basically, and I can do a breakdown of this specifically. This is a 4-foot piece of 1.25-inch speed rail. And it has this device, this coupler on top. This is called a candlestick maker. It's a very simple device. I'll probably take a video of it and just insert it in the video here. But it just slides onto a piece of 1.25-inch speed rail. And what that does is it then adapts that speed rail to just a junior pin. So you can put a light with a junior pin on it. And this is a very, very common way to mount a big light. Even though we weren't using a big light in this circumstance, we were just using my Evoke 1200 daylight version. But you can do this with much larger lights from, up to Sky Panel 360s, 12K Fresnels, all that kind of stuff. And it works very well. You just slot your light in there, tighten it down, and it works like a regular combo stand at that point. The way that we secured it was with these guys. These are called chain vice grips. All we did was wrap around the horizontal pipe and also, of course, around the speed rail to secure it. You cinch it down nice and tight, make sure that it's not gonna pop off or anything, that it's not too tight, but it's also not too loose. You have to use your best judgment with this kind of thing. And then you just clamp it down. And really that's it. That's how you mount a candlestick, is what we call that. So a candlestick to the basket of a Condor. I'm gonna pause it right here. So what Justin's doing right here is he's using some sash, and he's creating a couple knots, a couple lines for knots that we are going to be wrangling the stinger with. Because typically you don't want the stinger to just hang down straight from the basket. or, you know, the same thing applies if you're using a big feeder cable for an HMI, or even if you have to run Bates cable or Bandit cable up to the basket. You don't want that to drape straight down from the basket. You want it to be managed in such a way that, you know, if the camera were to look over, it's not just going to see a cord hanging down. And so that's what Justin's doing. He has just found a spot on the boom arm, and he's just tying a little knot and getting it ready for the stinger. So now that's just a close-up on the chain vice grips, and you can see him. So here's the light mounted. I'm gonna go into the umbrella in just a second because we were expecting a little bit of a drizzle. It wasn't anything serious. We weren't expecting thunderstorms or anything like that. But so we did rig up an umbrella, but here's the light on it. So like I said, it works just the same way that a combo stand would. You can see we actually removed the combo stand. We floated the idea of putting another light in here for additional spread. If we were closer with this boom, you'll see in the pictures later, we were about 100 to 150 feet away from the set. A 600D really wouldn't have cut it. We did have a few 600Xs on set from Aperture, and those are great lights, don't get me wrong, but they don't quite have the punch that a 1200 does. We actually ended up throwing the big reflector intensifier dish on this guy with that 26 degree because we wanted to prioritize light level over the spread. And at the end of the day, I think the spread ended up being just fine anyways. So I just did two Cartolanis. You can actually, on a lot of umbrellas, you can fit the stem of the umbrella into the gobo head, which is what I did there. Oops, let me go back. Yeah, which is what I did there. So this is just a C-stand arm that I used for a little bit of a support. You can see it's just clamped on a little bit higher. That way, if the first knuckle would let loose for whatever reason, then we could, then you know, it wouldn't come crashing down or anything. Continuing on, the last step to the chain vice grips is just going over them with tape. I usually do at least 3, and 3-inch gaff tape is great for this. You can do 2-inch gaff tape. I like to go over it a little bit more then. So yeah, we did throw on the big scoop for the increased light level you get out of that. And here's a video. I apologize for the vertical video, but this is the kind of effect that it's getting. Just pausing it. Oh, let me go back really quick. So just pausing it, we had, you can see all the cool dappled lighting that you get from it. And you know, this would work with the same way with a 4K HMI or an Aperture 1200, or of course a much bigger light. The same thing would apply, but you get a lot of nice dappled light. You get a lot of long shadows here as well. And there's the kind of stuff. So we had a fire going. You can see the volume of the smoke really nicely. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching that. So with all that being said, that is the end of the video. Hopefully it was educational to you in some way. Like I said, always consult somebody who's done this before and see if they can show you the ropes with it, because it is, you know, just inherently a dangerous proposition to do, to put a light this high up. So just make sure you're doing it safely. Always exercise safety on set, especially with the electrical and grip department. Thank you so much again for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about this rig, or if I could have explained anything better or differently. And with that being said, thank you guys and have a good day.